Your thoughts are going non-stop right now. You try to stop it and stop it, it'll go crazy. Because there are no brakes. All three are accelerators. Whatever you press, it only goes faster. So, why these thoughts are going like this? So you need to understand, the moment you identify yourself with something that you are not, your thoughts are on. The more you're identified, the more strongly you're identified, the more the thoughts are, more vigorous the thoughts are. It is just like you ate bad food. Now you have gas. If you stop it, can you stop it? You cannot stop it. You ate bad food, that you could have stopped. Eating bad food, you could have stopped. Having eaten bad food, you can't stop the gas, isn't it? Thoughts are just like that. You have identified yourself with things that you are not. You have gone away from your original nature. You are identified with so many things which you are not. Isn't it so? Now you are trying to stop the thought. It is not going to stop. It cannot stop. If you sit here and take away your identification, that's what I'm trying to do with you. When I say you're responsible for everything, if you become responsible for everything, actually you are like nothing, please see. How did you get your identity? You took responsibility for something and became a somebody, isn't it? Isn't it so? Is that so? Only by taking responsibility for something you have become a somebody, isn't it? If you see, I'm responsible for everything, you become a nobody. Once you're like this, where is the question of thought? Thought will be a conscious process. When you're a nobody, what is there to think about? Nothing. If you want to think, you can think. Otherwise, it's just wonderfully blank. If I sit here for 5 days, 6 days, I can sit here without a single thought. Not because I have installed some special kind of brakes on my mind. Simply, if you do not identify yourself with anything, thought process cannot go on. So, if you don't want gas, you must stop eating bad food. Trying to stop gas will be foolish, isn't it? What is bad food?
Inappropriate action.
No, wrong identification. See, right now, you go about thinking and experiencing this body as yourself. We've been repeatedly looking at this body is an accumulation you gathered, isn't it? Yes? Is this you or is this not you? Man, this is a heap of food now, man. So, when you were much slimmer, were you still you? Complete you or half you? Complete you. Now you accumulated more. So this more, is it you or not you? Huh? How can what you accumulate be you? What you gather cannot be you. You gathered it, isn't it? Maybe it's your property, all right. It belongs to you, all right. But it cannot be you, isn't it? But this body which is not you, you're experiencing it as myself. Wrong identification. These thoughts are not yours, you gathered it from the society around you, isn't it? But you are experiencing it as myself. These are two basic things, but it extends. Even the clothes that you wear, you're experiencing it as yourself, isn't it? If I tear your cloth, it hurts you as much as me beating you or doing whatever, isn't it? Your house, your children, your husband and all the other nonsense that you gathered, you have identified yourself with many things that you are not, isn't it? So much bad food, how to hold back the gas now? Too much bad food. Wrong identification.
What is the right identification?
See, where is the need to identify yourself with something? In the society, yes. See, for social reasons, we identify ourselves with something or the other, that's fine. But within yourself, where is the need to identify yourself with anything for that matter? Where is the need? Because you feel insufficient in some way, that is why you're trying to identify yourself with something or the other. I want you to understand, you educated yourself not out of your love for knowledge. You feel insufficient, that is why you gathered this knowledge. You built your family not because you're in love with them, you feel insufficient without them, that's why you gathered this group of people around you. You're working because otherwise you'll feel insufficient, that's why you're doing all this, isn't it? So your experience of who you are is not sufficient. That is why all this nonsense is happening. Now, if your experience of who you are is so magnificent and so complete, the need to identify with anything doesn't arise in your life, isn't it? Yes?
Not understood.
Yes, I know. When you say yes, I know you have not understood. That's why I'm going at it again and again and again. Some of you are wondering, why are you saying the same thing? Because you're saying yes. When you say yes, I know you didn't get it, because you cannot get it that way. If you get it, you'll burst into tears right now. If you really respond to everything, this moment, you will melt away. Ah, I get it. You don't get it, that's why I'm going at it again and again and again. Your identification is always with something that you have gathered, is it so? The food that you gathered in the form of this body, the impressions that you gathered in the form of your mind, and the things and people that you gathered in the form of family and property and whatever else. So your identification is always with that you collected. This is your hobby. This is your compulsive hobby, to gather food, to gather people, to gather things. Non-stop you're gathering all the time, isn't it? Your hobby is okay, enjoy the hobby, but it cannot be you, isn't it? But you have identified yourself with all these things because who you are right now is not sufficient. There is a sense of insufficiency in your existence. This insufficiency has come fundamentally because the moment you were born, for the purposes of survival, you identified yourself with the body. Similarly, you continued the same process. For the purposes of social survival, you identified yourself with some social structures. For the purposes of national survival, you identify yourself with a national identity. For religious survival, you identified yourself with a religious group. Like this it is going on, race, religion, caste, whatever. These are all different identifications you're taking on different levels. All this is just survival, is it so? Do you understand what I'm saying? So, why survival has become such an issue is, fundamentally you got trapped with the identity of the body. The moment you got trapped with the identity of the body, survival becomes the fundamental and the foremost interest in your life, because the body constantly needs to protect itself. In this vast existence, where so much is happening, this body needs constant protection. So there is a deep-rooted instinct for survival. Every cell in your body has its own instinct for survival. Those of you who are into some medicine, you know, every cell in the body has its own instinct. It is fighting to survive every moment, isn't it? You as an organism, yes. Apart from that, each individual cell is struggling to survival, because that is the most fundamental instinct. The moment you got identified with the body, now this became your quality. Survival, survival, survival. But body is the only thing that needs survival. Other things can be molded and created any time you want, isn't it? Yes. Other aspects of you can be just molded and created any time you want. It is only the body which needs it. But because your identification with the body is so deep, it has spread into other areas of life. Now, any amount of talking and listening won't do this. If we can create a device where there is a little space between you and this body, if you have a living experience, I am not this body, then suddenly life will start happening in a different way. Then you are not afraid of responding to anything because now your response is so deep, it is not necessarily in terms of action. Where action is needed and possible, you will do. Where it's not needed or not possible, you don't do. It's your choice. Action is always your discretion, isn't it? Isn't action your discretion? Always your discretion. But your ability to respond, if you don't restrict it, if you see I'm responsible for everything, every moment of your life, you will see somehow for no reason you're simply joyful by your own nature. Because once your responsibility is boundless, you cannot identify with anything in particular. All your pains and struggles are coming because you're identified with a few particular things and ignoring the rest, isn't it? Yes? Your pain has come not because you included everything. Your pain has come with exclusion of life. You have just included a few things, rest you have excluded. People come to me and say, they come to the ashram and say, we want to walk the spiritual path. Oh, that is a very lofty goal. Okay, you stay here for a couple of weeks, we'll see what we can do with you. 2 weeks? No, not possible. This Saturday, my uncle's daughter is getting married. Oh. You want to do spirituality? Uncle's daughter's wedding? Okay. How far do you want to go? All the way. You want to go all the way and also attend uncle's daughter's wedding. And you have only 3 days. Okay, 3 days, let's see what we can do. And I tell them, okay, do this, this and this. Or this I don't like this. Oh, you don't like this. Okay, you do one thing. I give them a small piece of paper and say, write down all the things that you like, we'll do just that. Things that you don't like, we will leave it. Things that you like, make a list of it, we will do just that. Most people never cross half a dozen. They just write down half a dozen things that they like. In this vast existence, you just like half a dozen things. See, please understand, the moment you set this process of I like this, I don't like this, you have divided the world. Yes? No, I don't like this, but it's okay with me. There is no such thing. The moment you don't like it, all the negative in you starts flowing in that direction. Isn't it so? Can you hold it back? I don't like this man, but I love this man. Is it possible? Is it possible? No. Oh, I like this person very much, but no, not possible. It'll draw you there, isn't it? So, the moment you create like and dislike, you have divided the world. Once you divided the world, inclusion doesn't happen, only exclusion happens. Exclusion is a way of the ego. The ego is always trying to be exclusive. Do you see? All the advertisements they're telling you, it'll make you exclusive. Being exclusive means you're trying to be special. You're trying to be special means right now you're feeling insufficient. Is it so? Somewhere there is an insufficiency in you. To cover that up, you want to paint yourself gold right now, if gold is a fashion. If something else is, that's what you will do. So all the time trying to be exclusive. Now I'm talking about being all-inclusive. If you're all-inclusive, you're not in conflict with anything. Now, When there is no inner conflicts, your intelligence becomes a pure force. You can simply employ your intelligence and your body whichever way you want. It becomes absolutely conscious. Because there are conflicts, you cannot become conscious. All the time you are a party, either this side or that side. You belong to this party or that party. Now it's a struggle. You don't belong to any party. Now within yourself, you don't identify yourself with this or that. You're simply here. Now, you have no conflict. What you can do, you will anyway do. What you cannot do, you don't do. If you do something, you're responsible for it. If you don't do something, you're still responsible for it. That's all it is. Life becomes very simple. Just everything in the world falls into its right perspective. If you think I'm responsible for this, not responsible for that, first of all, you have chosen to be responsible for this because you like it. You have chosen not to be responsible for it because you don't like it, isn't it? You already divided it. At one time, we used to say, Isha Yoga, from ordinary to extraordinary. So people used to think that we are going to make them special. So they said, what is the extraordinary? I tell them that's not the point. From ordinary, we want to make you extraordinary. More ordinary than anybody. Simply ordinary. If you are so ordinary that you have no need to be special, then you are extraordinary. When there is no need in you to be special, if you sit here, you're fine the way you are. Now you're very extraordinary, isn't it? So we want you to become extraordinary. Don't try to be special. So being responsible is not being responsible in an unbounded way, just brings you down to life just the way life is. If you think I'm responsible for this, not responsible for that, you have a distorted vision of life. You don't see life the way it is. What is your responsibility? There you feel good. What is not your responsibility? There you feel terrible. Suppose a little thing, something has fallen down there and you think it is not my responsibility, but for some reason, life situations are compelling you to pick it up. You know what a torture it is? Yes? A little action, something that you think you're not responsible for, if you're compelled to do it, you will go through enormous suffering, isn't it? Isn't it happening to you on a daily basis? So many things you must do, but you think you're not responsible for it. Such a toll it is taking on your system, isn't it? Huge toll, it is claiming a huge price on you, on your life. If you see my responsibility is boundless, whatever is needed out of you, effortlessly you do it. What you cannot do, anyway will not happen. Who can change that? But all your capabilities could be fully utilized if you don't fix a limit upon your responsibility. On your actions, anyway, nature has fixed some limits on you, isn't it? Your ability to respond, why do you want to limit it? You don't have to add to the limitations that are already there to life. Do you see? By limiting your responsibility, you're putting new limitations upon life. Yes? Aren't you putting new limitations? Is it necessary? Nature has fixed sufficient limitations on you. You don't have to put new limitations upon yourself.